I built a Dann Huff inspired guitar and it's stunning. Guys and girls, welcome back to my channel. It's really great to see you here again, and if you're new to my channel, then welcome. It's really awesome to have you join us today. Today is all about this guitar, my Dann Huff inspired SuperStrat, which I call the JP Giant. Can you figure out why? Huh? Anyways, I've been asked so many questions about this guitar after doing a video on the Dann Huff tone on my Fractal FM9 Turbo, and you can check that video out on my channel if you would like to as well. I kind of figured that this guitar deserved its own video. In fact, I actually built this guitar just to do that video. The fact that it actually turned out to be spec-freaking-tacular is a huge bonus. So first, the 2-cent tour and the history of this guitar here. It's a parts caster that I originally bought and put together in 2006. Man, that is just crazy. That's like almost 20 years ago. 20 years I've had this guitar. Wow, it blows my mind. It's a basswood body that I bought on eBay for £40, which is around $55 US, and this is the third neck that it's had on it. Yeah, it's been through a few. I bought it because, well, it was cheap. And it had this really cool quill maple veneer on it, which I thought would make for a really awesome guitar. And you know what? It did. How do we know that? Well, it's here with me 20 years later. Yeah. It even went on tour with me around the UK in 2009 twice. Yeah, although by that time it already was onto its second neck, its second wife. Which was a reverse banana headstock Warmouth neck, which was much better than the first one. The first neck was absolute trash, trust me. It needed to go off that guitar. Anyways, some years ago I put the third neck on it, which is this one here, and when that happened I also shaved down the neck joint to make it an all access. And the thing is, I did a great job of the neck joint, but the refinishing, not so great. There's a huge color difference between the neck joint and the back of the guitar, and there was so much lacquer overspray. It was really awful. It was bad, trust me. It was horrible. So fast forward to now, and a few weeks ago I was watching a Dann Huff video about that amazing clean tone that he has, and for that I needed a guitar with a 3 pickup configuration, and I realized looking around the studio that I no longer had a guitar with a humbucker single on it. What? How did that happen? So I finally got my butt into gear and I got this guitar done. Yay to me! Especially because I have been planning this for over 12 months. Yeah, I know, but all good things come to those who wait and are patient, right? That's my excuse anyway. I've wanted to make this guitar look as amazing as it plays for some time now, and I had a penny drop moment last year when I saw some guitars with a faded paint finish on them, and I actually have one. I have a Kypro guitar which has this kind of pink to red fade, and I realized that I could do the same to this guitar and hide the crimes against guitar work that I did to this on the neck joint. So plans were afoot. A quick Google search brought me to the good folks at Northwest Guitars right here in the UK. I've bought from them for years and they are really cool, so shout out to them. And they had a selection of colored lacquers which were translucent, and I figured I could create that whole fade thing and change the look of this guitar while building up the paint layers around the neck joint so that the color difference was essentially hidden. And that worked like an absolute charm. It really worked great. So what I did was strip down the body, sanded it to create an abrasive surface onto which the paint and lacquer would stick. Then I cleaned it thoroughly. Then I used a rattle can red translucent lacquer to create a super cool looking fade from the red to the orange. Now obviously I built up the paint more around that neck joint, and this worked really well because it created a really nice focal point and a concentration point on the guitar, which I really love. I really like how this is really dark red and then it fades into the orange, and then at the front you've got that quilt maple just showing through that red. It looks so awesome. Now there are still some waves in that neck joint. I didn't do a perfect job. I completely and utterly forgot to smooth it out before painting it. Homer moment. No! But man, you'd be hard pushed to see the color difference and the waves in that neck joint unless you were really looking at it closely, which most people won't, because I'm going to be playing the guitar and it's going to be this way. It's not going to be this way, right? I did the same to the headstock as well, so that it would tie right into the guitar and look like it was designed that way. I really like that color match between the two. There are some pretty cool tricks going on with this paint as well. You'll see a little bit of sparkle in there, and that's glitter paint, both silver and gold. And there are just a few layers of it to give that extra zingy finish, and I put those just after the paint but before the final lacquer coats. I let the paint dry for a few days and then I did the final step, which was the clear lacquer. I put around 10 or 15 coats on there. Then I did a quick sand down just to smooth out some of the imperfections, then a few more coats to finish it off. Now usually you should leave the lacquer to dry and cure for a month, but I was in a rush, so 4 days for me. Yeah. Before I did the smooth down, I shouldn't have done it, but I was just in a time crunch, which was self-imposed, to be honest, and the lacquer hadn't cured. It was still soft and stuff, but I kind of got away with it, and it does look really awesome, and the finish is pretty nice. I could have done a better job, but hey, I know for next time. Hey, if you're digging this one, then make sure that you smash that subscribe button and hit the bell notification as well, as I have more guitar mod videos planned and you don't want to miss those. Thanks so much. Right, the neck. This is wife number 3. It is maple with a rosewood fretboard and medium jumbo frets on it, and it's a neck that I have reprofiled at the back to my personal liking, and it's about 19 or 20 millimeters right the way from the first fret all the way up. That's just the way I like the necks. I don't really like the taper thing. I like it to be even right across. I did this quite a few years ago, and it is such a lovely neck to play. The profile is just sublime and it feels so comfortable and fast in my hands. I did some extra work on it when I took the guitar apart to do this work, just to make it even better. I rolled the edges of the fretboard before putting it back on the guitar, and I added my signature chakra fretboard inlay stickers by my very good friends over at Fretlook, just to make it look absolutely phenomenal. I think it looks absolutely stunning now. It actually looks as stunning as it plays now. Now, to make it a Dann Huff style guitar, I had to put some trick electronics in it. You see, a big part of that incredible clean tone that Dan gets comes from an onboard mid-boost preamp that he has on his guitars. So I wanted to add an onboard preamp. I went for the Arctic Variable Tone Booster, or VBT as they call it, which is actually a very affordable mid-boost. It's like £18 here in the UK, which is around $25 US. So when I got it, I immediately threw it into the guitar. But there was a problem. You see, Arctic designed it so that it had a push-pull pot on it, and it activates and deactivates. The thing is, it is active in the down position and it deactivates in the up position. That is referred to as infinite wisdom. Why? Why? It's completely arse backwards. It should be off when it's down and on when it's up. But fear not, I do a lot of electronics, so I figured that I would just take it apart and Frankenstein it back together so the switch would work the other way. So down was off and up was on, and it worked. Yay! Well, for a while anyways, because I managed to damage the pot in the process. But as it was such a cheap preamp, I just bought another one and did the same thing over again. This time I did a much cleaner and neater job, and it looks pretty amazing and works perfectly and correctly now. Now, this is one of the secret sauce ingredients of the sound, and man, it makes a huge difference. I mean, check out this clean sound. clean sound just cuts straight through and sits so well in a mix. It's the best clean sound I have ever had the pleasure of playing, and I have access to it all the time with this guitar and my Fractal FM9, of course. I know you're wondering which pickups I used in this guitar, right? Well, I seem to have built up a stash of pickups over the years, and I have a drawer full of them. So I rummaged around and found some absolute diamonds in there. I have an EVH Wolfgang Humbucker in the bridge position. In the middle position is a Seymour Duncan SSL1, and in the neck position, a bare knuckle pickups Trilogy single coil. Now these pickups, together with the 5-way switch and a push-pull pot on the volume which coil splits the bridge humbucker. Now, coil splitting, if you don't know what that is when you actually turn off one of the coils of a humbucker, essentially making it a single coil pickup. Yeah, these were the ideal combination, right? Well, not quite. When I finished the guitar, I sent pictures of it to my very good friend Perfecto de Castro. Shout out for Perf. He's an awesome guitar player and guy. Check out his channel. And I told him about the Dann Huff inspiration and the switching options, and he very kindly and gently asked me if I knew that another ingredient of the secret sauce was that Dan used the humbucker in parallel mode and had a switch to allow all 3 pickups to work at the same time, which created the sound. Do! 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 In all seriousness, I have to give a huge thanks to Perfecto for pointing this out to me, as it allowed me to modify the split coil switching that I had on this push-pull on the volume pot and make it a series parallel switching. And I also added a tiny little toggle switch right here, which allows me to hardwire the neck pickup to the output so that it's always on regardless of the position of the selector switch here. By the way, series and parallel modes on a humbucker give very different sounds. In series mode, basically what happens is the first coil of the pickup daisy chains into the second coil, making it a kind of huge pickup. In parallel mode, each of the 2 coils on the humbucker work independently, and it's like having 2 single coils side by side. Spankier tone that way. All these switching options means that I can now put the guitar into position 2 on the selector switch, which is the bridge humbucker and the middle single coil. Then on the humbucker, I can run it in parallel mode by pulling up my volume knob. I can then add the neck pickup by engaging the switch. And then finally, I can engage the mid boost by pulling up this knob, which isn't a tone knob, by the way. It is just a mid boost. And that way I have the spankiest, sparkliest, clean tone you could ever possibly imagine. It is just sublime. I absolutely love it. So, mission accomplished. I have that Dann Huff clean tone. Woohoo! You know, this guitar has turned out to be so much more than just that though. With the EVH Wolfgang Humbucker, it just screams like a banshee when I want it to, and the 2 single coils add in so much versatility. I love the way that these pickups work together as well. The tones just complement each other. The Wolfgang has that bark and growl, which is always awesome to play, while the single coils have that sweet glassy thing going on. The next single coil, the bare knuckle Trilogy, is just so super sexy, man. What an awesome sound it has. And then we have the final touch, the JP logo on the headstock. I absolutely love that. This guitar has become so addictive to play. It sounds astonishingly good. It plays phenomenally well. And look at it, it looks like $1,000,000 now. And it's by far one of the cheapest guitars that I have. Bet you didn't expect that. I mean, even factoring in the pickups on a rough tally, it came in at around 500 or 600 pounds total, which is around 650 to 750 US dollars. Yes sirree. Ha, go figure. I guess big bucks aren't always necessary to create an incredible guitar, just some thinking and some know-how. I would love to know what your favorite guitar mods are to do, so leave a comment and let's get a conversation going. Alrighty folks, if you enjoyed this one, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, and also make sure that you hype the video as well. New feature on YouTube, yeah! And of course, share with your guitar loving friends as well. Time for the track, and yes, this is very inspired by the giant song Chained. I couldn't help myself. After all, this is a Dann Huff inspired guitar, right? I especially loved doing the solos on this one. Enjoy rocking out to this one, and I'll see you really soon with another video. In the meantime, grab your favorite guitar and make some awesome noises. Have a great day. Bye for now.